No intro. We are live. This is Divots and Pivots, and I am Andrew LeDuc. This is Keith Fleming. Yes, sorry, no intro. I know you are used to getting all jazzed up, coming in hot with the music. But you know what? People keep wanting their pennies, and people keep wanting to not give us any. So we're not playing the copyright game. We're gonna figure out something custom. We'll have that come out to you. But in the meantime, I can bring us in. Do you want me to sing a little song, Keith? Do you want me to sing a song?
Do I personally? Probably not.
Probably not. That's a great answer.
You do you, buddy.
Well, that's a good answer. It is St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. And as always, the show is brought to you by Acorn Hills, acornhillsco.com. Get over there, use DivPiv15 for your 15% off on your next order. They're always rocking the hottest trends and some good looking stuff over there. The quarter zips are out of this world. I love their quarter zips. They're breezy, they're light, they're comfy. So get over there and check those out. Look, we are coming off of a fun weekend, a frustrating weekend, very frustrating weekend with the Players Championship. It does take a little juice out of the tournament, unfortunately, when pretty much all your DFS lineups are shot because of two withdrawals, and then one main guy missing the cut. If the withdrawals didn't happen of Fox and Morikawa and just Jake Knapp missing the cut, if it was just Jake Knapp missing the cut, I could have survived that. But God, when you only play 6 lines and you end up with one of those in every single lineup, just kind of kills your weekend right from the start. Was it as frustrating as it was for you as it was for me?
Yeah, I had 100% of lineups that had either Fox or Morikawa, or in a lot of situations, both. I think it was like roughly half of them. So, yeah, it was the first week all season that I had 0 lineups cash. I had one lineup fight really hard, and they came close, but close, only counts in, what is it? Horseshoes and hand grenades.
Hand grenades,
yeah, it was a frustrating week. It did feel better having Cam win. I think that anybody that knows me knows I'm a huge Cam Young fan. Was very excited last year seeing his vast improvements on the greens. I said at the time last year, like especially after the Ryder Cup, that this guy could end up being a big deal on the PGA Tour if he continues to putt like he, did last year, which so far this season until this week, like he putted better than previously, but not anywhere near what he did last year.
Right.
But more importantly, he actually had an off year with his irons last season, and those are back to being elite, which is the Cam Young we've always known. So very excited about that, and kudos to my co-host of 2 Off the Tee, Scott Porter. He had Cam to win. He had Cam to top 10. So he had a good week.
Yeah, that must have been an exciting last few holes for him then. That must have been a fun time, because we did see Ludwig. I'm hesitant to use the word choke away, because it honestly seems to be something that is happening. I think it's the last 3 weeks we've had a back 9 lead of multiple points just disappear, or multiple strokes, I should say, disappear. So I don't want to just sit here and call Ludwig a choker when I haven't called anyone else a choker. So I don't think that's fair to do that. But he looked dialed in. He looked in control until he wasn't. And I guess that's what the Players does to you. That's what TPC Sawgrass does to you. The water is in play, and we saw a couple of guys do it. It really became like Justin Thomas. Even he had a little stretch there where he made a triple, I think, but then he was able to turn it around and kind of bounce back from that, erase that triple. It ultimately took him out of contention to win. But the fact that he was able to erase that and at least get it back to even compared to that hole, he was able to still finish strong. So we're in that stretch of the year where we need guys that can, even if they make a mistake, they can at least level it off. Ludwig didn't have that, unfortunately. Cam Young did, and Young is what we've always known about Young is he's a long straight driver. And like you said, the fact that he's now putting the rest of the game together at the right time, and we saw a glimpse of it at the Ryder Cup too. Like he had a decent Ryder Cup. So the fact that we're seeing that continue now is all all signs pointing well for him leading into major season. So yeah, I was all for seeing Cam Young one. I was a fan of that. It was ultimately I think a successful players.
Yeah. I think though, just to follow up on the choking thing, it's okay. He did choke. And other guys have choked this year. Golf is a mental sport. That is what makes golf unique. It's why I love it. There's no one playing defense. There's no one out there that can stop you. Somebody can outscore you, obviously, but nobody is going to prevent you from playing your best golf but yourself. And it is hard to win on the PGA Tour. I think people, because of Tiger and then now Scotty over the last couple of years, people are taking for granted how hard it is to win on the PGA Tour. And even big names who are consistently up at the top, it's a huge difference when it's you leading on a Sunday. All these guys behind you are playing much freer because they're in chase mode. They don't have nearly the pressure you do. And it's going to happen. And it is a choke. That's what it is. I mean, he would say, I'm sure if you asked him, maybe not, he wouldn't say that to the media, but if you're a friend of his and you asked him, I gagged it away. Like, I used to play competitive golf. I gagged away plenty of events. Like, that's literally part of the game. And what makes the great ones great is they come back from those performances and play better the next time. And I think it's fair to say that, he hasn't had very very experiences of being in that position.
Right.
And
that's true.
That does come with experience and time. And, I think it's okay to say somebody choked as long as you understand that that is part of the game. Everybody chokes. It's where you mentally fall apart. Because we've been there. You're thinking about the lead. You're thinking about hitting it in the water. You're thinking about all the things that you're not supposed to think of while you're playing golf, but it's human nature. They're going to think about it. And can they handle those pressures? That's why it was just, to me, so impressive to see Cam hit the shots he did on 17 and 18. And, Fitzpatrick, in some ways, would probably argue he choked a little bit on 18 with that tee ball, because he's one of the straightest drivers on the planet. He's like 8th in driving accuracy this year. And he was afraid of going left, which anybody who's played Sawgrass knows that's easy to do on 18. And it cost him the tournament.
Yeah, where has he? I want to see what he's his driving accuracy has been like over 60% in his last 8 rounds. Almost 70%. In his last 24 rounds, 36.
He's top 10, I know, on tour and driving accuracy.
And it's a big reason why a lot of people are on him this weekend as well with the Valspar, because it's going to be another, and we'll get into details why, but it is going to be another driving accuracy type of course. And he is currently sitting at 20% projected ownership right now. So that's what made last week so interesting with the players and the Morikawa withdrawal, because he was 36% owned. So part of me was like, all right, so this happened to a lot of people. I might still have a chance, which is probably why ultimately I was still able to cash one of my 6 lineups, min cash. So I still lost.
Yeah, but at least you got something back. Mine was literally a full negative week, which I typically do not have those on DraftKings, where it's like I didn't get any amount of my entry for the week back.
I was just so bummed because I felt so confident about the picks going into last week too. And like I said, really, it was really just Jake Knapp was the really one that I was overexposed to that missed the cut. Other than that, the other sprinkles of guys I had in that missed the cut, it was like just in one lineup, so it wasn't the end of the world, and they were more risky lineups anyways. So I think that's what made it just a little rougher last week for me too. But all in all, good players. I think it kicked us off in a good start. We get the Valspar this week, a significantly weaker field, I would say, than we just saw with the players, obviously. But understandably, we now have guys trying to squeeze in some time off before we really hit a big stretch here. But what that does for us, it does give us some leeway heading into, and we're just going to jump right into the Valspar now. I think do you have anything else you want to touch on the playoffs? Because on the players, I mean, because ultimately it's like obviously I want to talk more about the players, but there wasn't any storylines really other than the withdrawals. Other than that, it was really just kind of
I'm concerned about Scheffler's play. I think that is now officially.
It's a trend.
It's a trend. Like, he is not playing well.
He's not spreading it out over this one day. It's not always the first round, but there's one day a weekend right now. It's biting him.
He's frustrated. I mean, that's the other thing, is you can just see it. Like, it's boiling to the surface where you can watch him play any 3 holes and you can just see his frustration with his entire game, basically.
Yeah.
And then Rory's back. So, like, now we have 2 things heading into Augusta where I think the clear betting favorites will be Rory and Scotty, obviously. And I don't feel great about either of them. And I know that they said that Scheffler's swing, and I appreciate the telecast doing this for the people that are professional swing, experts, saying that he is much longer than he was in previous years, and his face is wide open at the top, which that is not good. I don't care who you are. If your face is wide open at the top, you're going to hit a lot of inaccurate golf shots, period. I don't care how good your hands are.
Well, yeah, because you're either going to push it out or you're going to try to overcorrect, knowing that in your head, and you're going to end up putting too much risk into some of these shots.
Well, unless you're Dustin Johnson. Actually, I should say DJ is one of the few people that he actually likes the club wide open at the top. But
yeah, but you gotta play your whole life basically with that style for that to settle in at the pros.
It is definitely a bad sign, and it was interesting to hear them break that down during the telecast. Like, that's some of the stuff I wish they would do more of, because this guy was, and again, this is just a reminder of how hard golf is this guy was unstoppable, 12 months ago, and it's definitely going the other direction. I have confidence because he's going to work really hard, and I think he has the mental game for it, but he's got some work ahead of him, man.
Have you? This just for some reason made me think of this. Have you, in watching any of these tournaments so far this year, have you checked out any of the ESPN's BetCast that they started last year and we've been doing again this year? I remember when they announced it last year. I remember being like, okay, this is nice. This is another way you can watch. It's gonna really, a lot of people watch golf only for the betting aspect, only for their bets. I've checked it out a couple times. I checked it out this week. I honestly was just bored with it, which is not what I was expecting from, a telecast or simulcast of the tournament that's focused on bets. Like, I would expect that to be like, they basically just were on 17 with 3 guys, honestly, that I don't think really anybody knew, which is fine. But I mean, at the same time, like, he needs some sort of kind of name power, I would say. And they were just sitting there talking, betting amongst themselves without any units or mention of that. They were just saying who's going to get closest to the hole every time. I was like, this is boring. Like,
I don't think they understand, and that's the problem with a lot of these places is they're just so out of touch with
like when I heard
people watch golf.
Yeah, when I heard a BetCast option to watch these tournaments, in my mind, I'm like, all right, so they're going to do their homework. They're going to pick out a handful of guys that there's a lot of money on these certain guys to do these things. And on Fridays, we're going to have, they're going to be chasing or watching, cut line watchers and stuff like that. And like, I thought they'd do some research to pick out some general bets that a lot of people are doing or a lot of people aren't doing, and that maybe there's people who want to see, like, if there's a Cinderella rising up the leaderboard, like, they'll be talking about that. Like, I thought it would be more like that, not so much like, oh, let's just sit here and bullshit amongst the 3 of us. And, oh, look, I guess he got closest to the pin out of the 3 of them. I was like, what? They missed the mark. Disappointed on ESPN on something that when they first announced it, I was very high on. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to change. We'll see. But screw that.
I mean, that's why, in my opinion, if you're going to do something like that, you got to think outside the box, and it doesn't surprise me that ESPN does it.
You know what? I keep letting them surprise me. So shame on me is the ultimate moral of that story. But let's talk some Valspar. Let's get into some of the keys here because we are at Innisbrook at Copperhead. Excuse me. Storied course. We do have 133 players in this field. That's a typical cut line of 65. And your defending champion is Victor Hovland, which is good because he's going to get some attention this week because he looked pretty decent the past 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
He still doesn't seem to be quite like ready to like control a field, I don't think, but
he can't drive the ball straight, which is
right.
An issue, especially here. But
he has somehow been decent here in the past, so it's like one of those where maybe it just clicks. So we'll see. I don't think he's going to be defending his crown with another win, but
we have had 2 repeat champions in the last decade, so who knows?
You could. I'm just not sure he's able to do it right now. But then again, I think I said last, at the Players that Ludwig and Cameron Young didn't have what it takes to win the Players, and they were both right there with the chance to do that. So I had egg on my face all week. But some of the key stats you mentioned in the course. So I will say, as you kind of alluded to, I did put some attention on course history here. Because it is one of those where I feel like you got to know how to get around this course, and sometimes you just don't know until you know. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think the more familiar you are here, you just know the holes that you can take chances on if you know your distances and you're hitting your distances accurately. So course history, I did throw some strokes gained total for the course history in the last 2 years, I think, on this course. So I got that going. But then as far as the regular key stats, I did go tee to green because we do need a mixture of approach shots and keeping it in the fairway. The thing with these fairways is that they bottleneck. So if you're hitting it short, you're just naturally going to be able to be safer because they tend to be wider up front. But they really most of them have like a pinch point. So you got to just be in control and know what you're doing with your distances. Strokes gained around the green, strokes gained putting. And then I did bogey avoidance and scrambling as well, just as some of the key things because those two go hand in hand. But I think there's going to be a lot of shots that are just short of the green. There's going to be a lot of guys hitting out of some rough, probably 150 yards out or so, 150. So I think we need guys that are going to be able to scramble, getting up and down is going to be very important to avoid the big numbers this week in my eyes. Do you have any that you want to add to that, or do you have any that you feel so strongly about that I am screwing up that you want me to take right out of there?
No, I don't think that, but I do really think that it's important not just scrambling, but scrambling from the rough. This is a venue that has got really gnarly rough. That is one of the reasons that the winning score has only exceeded, I think, 12 under twice in the last decade because you miss a fairway, you miss a green. It is no picnic by any means. So I think that's very important. Definitely, I think driver accuracy is huge, especially on less than driver courses. That's something I looked at. And then, you want guys who are putting well coming into this event. They don't have to be great putters, but they are trending up. If you look at the last 5 winners, they all had been gaining strokes, the last 2-3 events heading into this event. If you remember last year, Hovland, I think kind of for the first time in forever was showing signs of life with the putter. And last year, I think it was him, Bridgman, and I forget who the third guy was, but they finished 1, 2, 3 in strokes gained putting in the field. So it's so important. This is an event Sam Burns has won twice. Sam Burns has gained over 3 shots on the field every single time he's played this course just on the greens. So
it's about the only event he can win.
He won the match play. But it is I just think it's very important to have guys, and you pretty much said it. You got to be very sharp, tee to green. Again, I think the scrambling and avoiding big numbers is huge. And then the other thing, just to remind people, I agree with you. I looked at course history as well, but this is a venue similar to last week where we saw Cam Young never had a good finish.
Sure.
Won the event. Victor Hovland had missed the cut in both of his tries at this venue before he won it last year. So this is a venue that you can kind of come out of nowhere. And I mean, all you need to know is the fact that I think that it's Denny. Yeah, Denny McCarthy is the only player who has played 4+ times at this venue and does not have a miscut. So there are no sure things this week, is what I'm trying to say.
And that's fair. And you bring up Victor Hovland. I wanted to look up because the one, obviously, the weakest part of his game right now is that putter. So I wanted to see which way he was trending with the putter here. And his last 2 tournaments here, he has actually done quite well with the putter. Where is it? Yeah, so he gained a full stroke at the API, and then he's gained just over. He gained 0.15 strokes this past week at the Players. So the putter is trending in the right direction. It's trending green right now, at least. He really only had he had a down week at the Genesis and then down week at the AT&T. But other than that, he's actually been putting decent. Other than those 2 events, so his
he's just got to be able to get the ball on the planet, which
right.
he talked about that today in his press conference, that he's driving the ball awful. And it's weird. I never understood why he used to hit a controlled cut, why you would want to change that when you hit the ball basically 300 yards anyway. I'll never understand, but I feel like once he started trying to be able to work his driver both ways, that is when he wasn't an elite driver anymore, at least from an accuracy standpoint. And, you know, it is what it is, but it's just funny how once you have gotten out of that mold, because somebody asked him, why not just go back to that, you know, butter cut that you hit your first 2 years on tour? He said, because I can't find it. So he's working hard on it. He said he's got, you know, he feels good people around him, but that is my only concern for Victor this week is that if he drives it the way he has the last couple of weeks, this course penalizes it more than many others because you're not even hitting driver off a lot of tees. You're hitting less than driver because, to your point, trying to basically just lay up to the corner, the widest part of the fairway, and give yourself that approach in. Because I think it's like 40% of the approaches are going to come from 175 or more this week.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And yeah, to your point there, he is off the tee. He's been losing strokes and losing more and more, like trending steadily for the last 100 rounds, losing strokes off the tee to the point where now in the last 8 rounds, he's almost lost an entire half a stroke off the tee in the last 8 rounds. So that is significant. The other thing that is correlating with that too that I'm noticing is his ball speed. His ball speed has dropped 1 to 2, in some cases 4 miles per hour. So like that's pretty significant change. Like you said, that's him trying to probably do too much, and it's just affecting the flow of everything.
That sounds like an unsure golf swing to me.
Right. Exactly.
I get that. Anybody who's hit the driver, you know, poorly knows that that's the tendency. You just get, or you don't want to let it go. So you're trying to guide drives, and that's, from my experience, not a good thing.
Yeah, and he's lost 8 yards off his driver in the last 100 rounds as well. So, like, he's just, you're right, everything off when it comes to the tee, hitting driver off the tee at least, has just gone in the wrong direction. And it's still trending that way. It's not like it's still in the red and trending up. He's actively going down every time right now. So that's, for him to be 10,400 and looking at his ownership at around 22% ownership, that's one of those guys where I'm like, go ahead and pay for him. I know he won, but like I said, coming in, he doesn't feel like he's going to defend it this year. I think there's just other options that are much, much safer, which, yeah, sure. Safe doesn't always get you wins. You got to take risks, but I just think there's other places you can take risks that is not named Victor Hovland this week.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, the 10K range for me is not super appealing. No. Fitzpatrick, you could make an argument for, like, that's the one that I'm like, okay, and he also like 10,000 or 10-1.
He's 9,800. So
okay, he's not. So I am right. Yeah, it's just the guys in the 9K.
Akshay is the one that's an even 10K.
Yeah. So and I mean, Batia, it makes sense. But I just like, I mean, Bridgman to me is my favorite play this week. Dude is I mean, when you're first strokes gained total, first strokes gained putting, and you're also pretty good with irons and everything else, this is, to me, the kind of golf course that it really could make a difference. And don't forget, he finished third here last year. So he also
Right.
is very comfortable on this golf course.
I know it's a shame that everyone else is also, getting on the Jacob Bridgman train, because he is projected to be the highest owned at 25% right now this week. So not surprised, because it's been no secret he's been a very hot golfer here. But yeah, 9,600, he's a fantastic spot to start your lineups with, because I agree. I don't think you need to pay for Xander or Victor or. I'm kind of all right paying for Akshay, because he is right at the bottom of that range. He is going to be projected to be under 20% owned, and he is playing a pretty clean kind of golf right now, where he's top 40 in the field, and all the stats I used, at least, including first and strokes gained total in the last month. On all courses. He's also 38th in strokes gained total, specifically here at Innisbrook. But that includes some, like I said, like a year or two ago, where he wasn't playing nearly as well as he is right now. So Akshay is one of those guys that I am fine paying with, but he's probably the only one above 10K that I feel comfortable. I'm not feeling Xander right now. I know he's had moments where he's looking great, but this just isn't the field that, like you said, I feel the need to pay for him. There's just other value elsewhere.
He's driving it better, but he's still missing a lot of fairways. He's still not putting the way he did the season. He won 2 majors. Again, it's improving from last year, but not just pretty much his entire game is still not sharp enough, in my opinion, to pay that kind of premium in DFS when I can have Bridgman, I could have Koepka, who, if you're being honest, he's a way better ball striker right now than Xander. And Koepka has a great record on difficult golf courses. He typically plays difficult courses really well. And I would rather save $1,000, play Koepka, and then you're probably not going to have to put anybody in the 6K range in your lineup if you don't want to.
Yeah, and Koepka, really, his putting's just been bad, but other than that, he's been everything else has been the Brooks Koepka that we know. He's gaining a ton of strokes total. He's great off the tee, around the green. Brooks Koepka, 100% is in play this week, and I believe he has a decent history. I don't have
made the putter change. He's only played in this event once, but he finished 12th. So.
So I'll take that.
No surprise, he played well, and again, that was his first time playing it. Right. We've seen with a lot of these guys that have had either a top 10 or a win. Almost everybody seems to miss the cut here their first start, from what I noticed. So, to your point, it is a course that you need to know your way kind of to get around it. I just think it's one of those courses that if you get aggressive, you're going to get in big time trouble. It punishes you for missing fairways, missing greens, and also just trying to, compound mistakes by hitting hero shots. And I think that's something that you just see. It takes, maybe missing a cut for players to realize, okay, I can't go pedal to the metal here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and 2 guys that I actually do really like in the 9K range is Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas. My favorite play out of those 2 is Justin Thomas, and yes, I'm going to say just because he's 2% projected ownership, less than Spieth. But Spieth is I think they're pretty close to identical for this tournament. And now the model won't tell that because of that awful showing 2 weeks ago Justin Thomas had when he was shaking the rust off. But this past week he looked great at the Players. And this is a course that Thomas is comfortable on. This is a course he's performed well on before. We saw that
multiple times.
Yeah,
I think he's finished 12th or 15th or better in 4 of his last 5 starts. He has a miscut, but again, that's what happens. It's
everybody does.
It's a difficult venue. Yeah.
Let me pull up his full history while you're talking there. Anyways, it's he had finished second last year. He did T64 in 24, but 10th, 3rd, 13th. His missed cut was in 2017. So I mean, everything else has been pretty spot on. So this is one of those things where Justin Thomas feels like he's on that kind of get right tour right now, and I know we kind of question why is he coming back at this tournament before at Bay Hill, and why he chose that, but I think it makes sense now because he's comfortable at TPC Sawgrass, always has been. He's obviously comfortable here at Innisbrook, always has been. Like he did this. He wanted to shake his rust off at a place where he does okay at. He's got some history, but let me just get around that course in a safe manner and make sure I don't hurt myself again. And he a little too safe with those 279s. But I think I have full faith in Justin Thomas this weekend at 16% owned. I think that's, given everyone else around him, I think that's a steal. I love his odds to win. I think he was plus 2250 to win, so I think he's worth throwing some money on as an outright winner this week, because with the pedigree of this field and the flaws that we've talked about at the top of this, the price range for this field, I think this field is gettable for Justin Thomas this week in a big way. So he's probably my favorite 9K range that I feel most comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's Bridgman, but I like JT a lot too. And again, I like Koepka a lot. Like I like all three of those guys. JT and Koepka, it's basically the same reasons. They're just elite ball strikers. They're both so good on difficult courses. They're so good with their long irons. I just think that's going to be advantage. They both play par fives very well, which that's a huge deal this week. Like you've got to take advantage of the 4 par fives because there's 5 par threes. They're all long and difficult. A lot of the par fours are again, no picnic. So, but I'm with you with Thomas. Like I loved what I saw last week. This is a venue he feels very comfortable in, and he tends to usually play well on courses that he doesn't have to hit driver, because his driver can sometimes get a little squirrely. And again, he's such a good long iron player. Like I think it almost helps him when he's forced sometimes to lay back and have those longer approaches in, because if everybody is sitting from that range, which this is one of those instances, he's going to have an advantage over like 90% of the field.
Yeah, and I think the favorite part that I saw about him this past week was he looked calm and in control. Like I alluded to earlier, like even when he messed up, he was able to kind of put it in his back pocket, come back from it, and settle things down. That's obviously coming off an injury. You question, okay, where's this guy at mentally with this time off, and knowing he's quote unquote coming back. I'm not worried about that with what I've seen from Justin Thomas these past couple of weeks. I think he's got it right up there. He seems to be doing all right physically. So, going full throttle with Justin Thomas. And like I said, I'm going to be sprinkling all Bridgman as well, Spieth, Koepka. I like them all. Thomas is just my favorite out of all those guys that he'll get a little bit more exposure for me out of that. But let's get into some of the 8K guys, because it's pretty flush with some interesting plays, and I think from what I can tell, some very popular plays as well between Ryo. We'll start with Rio Hisatsini. I can't say it. Whatever.
I can't say it. That's why I just call him Rio.
but yeah, Rio there. Sorry. Another guy who people have taken the notice to him. He's projected 20% owned. He's top 5 projected ownership. But he, once again, I even had a fan reached out to me on Facebook private chat, and he was saying how he really liked Rio this week, and he's gonna bet him. And I was like, yeah, I get it. It's not, at the time I hadn't done my model yet, but I was like, he's 100% I think going to pop my model. He has been all year. He's just you're gonna have to pay for him for the price, but for $8,600, that's not bad, especially when you're probably gonna be working in some of those 9K guys. He'll make the cut. I don't think he's going to win this thing, but I think he could easily pull off another top 20 this week.
Yeah, I mean, he's another guy that I think he finished top 10 here last year. Big thing for me is he's elite on irons, and he's elite off the tee. Like he is top 25 in both strokes gain approach. and driving accuracy. He does well scrambling, particularly from the rough. He's actually better scrambling for a rough, which I think that's a big deal. He's third in green and regulation percentage this season, which I think that's going to be a big deal, is, hitting these greens. And he plays par fives pretty well. I think he's like 36 in par five scoring. So
yeah,
I like Rio a lot. Degala is the other guy in this range that I just love.
Yes, 100%.
Still feels like they're not. It just feels like they're pricing him off of last year still. And I get that. Like, he was really bad. His ownership has been down too. That's one reason I continue to use him.
Yeah, I think he's only around like 14-15% this week right now, projected.
Yeah. And that's, again, they bumped up his price a good bit. It's been, I think, in the 7Ks every week until this week.
Yeah.
Top 35 in putting, top 35 in approach. Very good at scrambling. Like, he's top 15 both scrambling and scrambling from the rough. But the thing that I love is he's got the two big things you need this week. He's 21st in bogey avoidance. You got to avoid the big numbers. He's 11th in par five scoring. And if you can avoid bogeys and take care of the par fives, you will be in contention on Sunday. Like, that's the recipe. Again, it rarely gets any deeper than 12 under. So I love him this week. And at 8,800, I think he's a really good value, even though his price, again, is a lot more expensive than what he's been most weeks.
Right. And part of that is because of the field. Obviously, some guys get a boost because of the field. But so what did you make of him this past week of the players, though? Because he was Jekyll and Hyde.
You mean every other round?
Yeah, well, because it was either, first round he gained 6 strokes total. Third round he gains, 3.5 basically. But then in the fourth round he loses, almost 4.5. He loses almost 2 in the second round. Like, it really was just a tale of opposites every single time. That I had a hard time wrapping my head around with him, because it's tough for me to understand how you can look that good, that bad, that good, that bad. Like,
he got the bad side of the draw, because his round during one was actually one of the better rounds of the people.
It actually
went off in that wave. Exactly. And this, again, I think that we will make way too big of a deal of the waves. But, and then, round two, I'm not, excuse me, he played awful. And I think in the fourth round, he was technically in contention to win. He went out being
himself back in it.
He went in being aggressive, and that's a course that, man, you can make some big numbers. And I believe he made 2 doubles on Sunday.
I believe so.
That'll just kill you. I mean, it just will.
All right. So you think that was nothing to be worried about with Sahith? They're just a product of the situation and did what he could.
He's too good of a putter. He's too good at scrambling. And he's another guy that, like, historically, if you look, like, the majors, difficult venues, again, throw out last year, because last year he was just bad.
Right, yeah.
But
last year was bad.
Prior to that, he excels on those courses, and the reason why is he's a really good putter and he's elite scrambling. So that's usually the recipe in these, difficult venues.
Nope, that's fair. I think that's a good kind of breakdown of why it was that he went so up and down, because I agree. He once again pops my model as a top 10 guy this week, so I'm also going to be playing him. 8,800 doesn't scare me, because I do think he should be priced right around there every week, and under, right around 15% owned right now. That's also doable for me as well. And then there's other guys in this range right around him too that, once again, I'm going to stay on the Nikolai Højgaard train. I can't stop playing him, and he's coming in only like right around 12% projected ownership for only $100 more. So, I mean, there's probably going to be a lot of my lineups where I have both of them right there. Right at the top of my lineups, just kind of praying on them to just carry it a little bit and taking some chances with some other guys. So he's been doing a lot of good. So I will say, when it comes to his experience here specifically, that was his, if I remember correctly, that was his biggest downfall here. He's only played it once last year. He did miss the cut. But it wasn't it doesn't tell me.
Well, I mean, again, though,
how much he missed, but he had a great.
Go back and look at everybody's record here.
Exactly.
It is very common that people miss the cut. Bridgman, again, miscut, finishes third. That's just the way this course is. So I wouldn't take that away. I didn't realize how well he's putting. right now. Like, I mean, he's top 30 and just about every major strokes gained category, with the exception of around the greens. But when you're putting the way he is right now, and you're an elite iron player, that's a nasty combination. So no, I totally get that. And he's only 12% projected ownership, I may have to put him in some lineups.
Yeah, because he's doing good off the tee too. Like I don't think this Pat. Let me see. Where's off the? So he did have a down week this past week, but before that, he's been gaining strokes off the tee since last year's PGA Championship. So I mean, this seems to line up perfectly for him. And in that miscut that I just referenced, I did look. He had a fantastic first round where he gained almost 3 strokes total on the field in the first round, and then just had something must have happened in that second round. He shot himself out of it and lost about the same. So, but yeah, no, Nikolai Højgaard is another guy I'm going to be all over. Like I said, it's going to be a lot of Nikolai. So he's honestly Thomas. I can probably do Thomas, Nikolai, and Sahith, and still get some guys I like that a little bit lower in the lower 7K range, and feel pretty good about doing all right with that lineup. Some other flyers that, not really flyers, but some other guys I like in the 8K range as well. Nick Taylor is another guy who has been having a good season. He seems to line up well here. And then Max Homa. Max Homa is a guy I really like this week. He's also projected to be under 12% owned this week. And he is just a guy who he's kind of quietly playing very well right now. He's had some bogeys that have kind of kept him off the leaderboard. That's the quiet part, I think. So he's not great in bogey avoidance at the moment, but everything else, he's really doing what he needs to do. And I want to look, T32 at the players, and then he hasn't missed a cut since the Farmers, so he's had a good.
He's played well
here.
all of Florida. I mean, this is the Florida swing, so he's obviously doing well in that aspect. And he's another guy plays very well on difficult venues, which is I consider this, almost a major, like, in the sense that there are some guys that thrive when scoring is more difficult, and other guys that have a real hard time. And part of it with Homa is when his iron game is on, which it is starting to look a lot like the Max Homa that won a lot prior to 2025. He's and he's got confidence. Like, he believes in his game now. He's talked about this. He talked about it last year when he was really struggling, because he was really struggling. But I think that he is definitely somebody to consider. Again, the par 5 thing is big to me. He's 13th on tour right now in par 5 scoring. So he's going to be able to take advantage of those par 5s, which is huge. And he's also, again, a good long iron player. So the 5 par 3s, I don't think you can win the tournament by playing them all, but you can lose it, because they're definitely holes that you can make bogey or worse on.
Yeah, no, I agree. So Max Homa is going to stay right in my player pool, and he's going to be one of my higher owned. I might even say he's in my core. So I like the Max Homa play a lot this week. Anyone else in the 8K range you want to hit on before we hit the 7K range? Because I feel like the 7K range has some meat to it.
No, that's it. I mean, for me, it's really Thagala, Rio, and Homa.
Okay, because when we get into that 7K range, it definitely gets interesting. Castillo he's been looking good. He looked decent at a lot of times this past week, coming off of the Puerto Rico Open. So I think he's going to be a popular play. I'm not necessarily going to be playing him, but I see why people are. I just like some value. One guy I want your opinion on that in this range that I can't seem to figure out. He's always popping in my model. Like always, and I think it's because he just I don't know why he just always is. Like this week he's number 1 in my model, and I don't know why, quite honestly. But Christian Bezuidenhout is he always is top 10 for me in my models when he's in the field, but he never seems to give me back top 10 value. And he's been someone that has stifled me. He missed the cut last week. He finished T8 at the Puerto Rico Open and the alternate event there. T37 at the Cognizant Classic, cut at the Phoenix. So I mean, like he's doing okay. But
yeah, but my concern there would be that, I mean, I guess it's a good thing. You know, he's struggled in the signature events, is what that's telling me. Phoenix and, you know, Sawgrass, obviously. The two events you're talking about he did well in, those are both non-signature events. But, I mean, he's got a really steady game. This venue should suit him well. But, you know, in the 7K range, there's really only two guys that I feel really good about, and it's Bud Cauley and Taylor Moore. They're both, I think, 7,500. This is a Bud Cauley golf course. He's somebody who plays difficult courses well. He plays very well on courses that the advantage off the tee is not as big of a deal, which this is, again, like of all the events, maybe on tour, I think this is the one that, you know, even if you can hit it far and straight, it doesn't really help you because almost everybody ends up laying off, and it's you know, kind of target golf. And then Taylor Moore is just one of my favorite plays, period, this week. He excels on difficult golf courses because he's great at avoiding bogeys. He's 16th in that. He's a really good putter. And he's top 10 in both scrambling and scrambling from the rough. And I mean, that just shows you're elite at scrambling. He gets up and down. And again, part of that, he's such a good putter. And I also just love the fact he's 6 in par 3 scoring because, like I said, you can't probably win this tournament with par 3 scoring. My only concern about him is he's been playing par 5s pretty poorly, and that could, you know, obviously hurt his chances to contend, but he's got to feel good about it. Like, he missed a cut last year, but again, everybody misses a cut here. It's not a big deal. 2 previous starts, 12th and a win. So he likes this venue, obviously, and he's playing pretty well. Like, I like what I've seen coming in. He's made the cut in 5 straight. He didn't have any kind of stretches last year where he made the cut in 5 straight events. He finished T2 at Cognizant, which is, you know, not as similar as it used to be because they've kind of taken a lot of the teeth out of PGA National. But it is a course with, you know, water that comes into play, some long par 3s, etc. There are some you know, I can't even say the word. There are, that are similar. So
you mix correlating and parallel, and I really appreciate that because the word you say, the core, I can't even say it. It made so much sense to me the second you said it. So,
I do really like Taylor Moore this week. He's going to be one of my most owned players because I just think at 7,500, that's a real value.
His ceiling is great for that price. Right now, projected around 7% ownership, 7 to 8%. So fantastic there as well. Bud Cauley projected right around 8 to 9. So also, you nailed it. Both of those guys. I love those plays. So those guys were there for me. Austin Smotherman. I'm going back to Austin Smotherman again because I talked about him last week, and he almost made me look really smart for a little bit there. So why not keep riding that wave? Just playing really well right now. And like I said, if you've watched the show for a few years, you know I'll say I've seen this coming for a few years. He's been one of my favorites, but he's played this course twice, this tournament twice, 23 and 22. He finished T36 and T25. So with how he's playing now, you would think he can improve on those finishes. So I love the Smotherman this week. Unfortunately, I do think he is he's actually only 13 to 14% ownership, so that's actually not terrible. I was thinking it was going to be higher.
I think it might be higher than that. I'm seeing him a lot this week. And understandably so. He's first in strokes gained approach. Like, that is a big statistic on a golf course that plays this stuff. He's very good on the long irons, 200 plus shots, and again, 40% are from 175. Like, I get why people are on him. My one concern is, again, like last year, first, second, third, all were first, second, third in strokes gained putting. He is not a good putter. Like, and it's the other big reason why I'm worried about Fitzpatrick as much as I like him for here. Fitzpatrick is not a good putter right now. And I think you have to, whether it be those 5 to 10 footers for par or whether it's taking advantage of those like 15 to 20 footers for birdie, you got to make putts.
Gotta make at least a couple of them.
Yeah. And I don't know if they have the capability of doing that.
Yeah, it's a fair criticism. So totally get that. Another guy down here, if you want to talk about a low-owned guy. Now, this one I'm going to give total credit to Rick Gelman. Is it Gelman? Rick Von Good. Yeah. So with CBS, I can never say his last name right. But so I got to give credit to him because the way he explained Billy Horschel to me, it struck something with me that I said, you know what, I can get behind that. And I do watch other shows. And if someone says something that turns a light bulb on for me that I agree with, I just give them credit and I will say it as well. But he said Billy Horschel is the type of guy that almost gets offended I'm not offended with anyone else, but offended with himself if he feels like he's kind of left out. And he was sitting there as an alternate for the players this past week and did not get the chance to play. Just sitting there on the range, sitting there on the putting green, and didn't get to play. So Rick's theory is he's going to come in hot. And he brought up the year that he got snubbed for the Ryder Cup and then came out and won the next whatever random tournament it was, a similar field to this, though, he pointed out. Kind of makes sense. He's a guy who
he's got a great record at this venue.
I was just gonna say, yeah, he's got a great
golf at Florida, so he's obviously very comfortable with these kind of courses.
Yeah, it feels like
I do like Horschel this week. Yeah,
it feels like it could just be one of those weeks where he flips that little switch and gives it a little extra, and he's gonna show up and show out. And at what I said I think he said right around 5% projected ownership at $7,000 or $7,200. I mean, I'm all over that.
I like it.
So the guy like that at 7,200 allows me to do what I was saying earlier. Nikolai, Sahith, Homa, like getting those guys in there together. Now, in order to do that, a guy like Horschel allows me that. Really, the only other two guys too that I made note of in the 7K range was Mackenzie Hughes and Eric Cole. Eric Cole more so than Hughes. I think Cole mainly because both of them have a good kind of track record here. Cole is overall playing better. I am a little worried about Cole's driver. He's about mid pack for this field, so it'll swing and miss. But everything else he's doing right now says to me that he could be a value as well. And I think he is under 4% projected ownership right now. So he's one of those guys that if you're looking for some edge, he might be worth the risk. But you mentioned some 6K guys. You want to quickly get to some of your 6K guys?
Yeah, there's just two that I really like. One is David Ford. I think he's 6,900.
Yep.
Elite ball striker, elite driver of the golf ball. He's top 25 in driver accuracy, 7th in approach. Pretty good at scrambling, like 59th on tour. Plays par fours and par threes both very well. Top 30 in bogey avoidance. Another one of those guys. He needs to have a good week in par 5 scoring because it's kind of hard to believe somebody who is that good of an iron player and that good of a driver of golf ball is not playing par 5s well. But that is the case right now. So he's got to clean that up. And then my favorite play is Lipsky. David Lipsky is 6,500, I believe. He is one of 8 players in the field who are above average in par 5 scoring, proximity from 175 plus, and short game. He's 12th in strokes gained putting, 45th on approach, 8th in driver accuracy, 14th scrambling from the rough, and 3rd right now in birdie average. He's also top 55 in bogey avoidance and strokes gained around the green. He does not have a good record at this venue, but it's just hard to believe if he does what he's been doing this season, he doesn't at least make the cut. And it wouldn't shock me if he's, top 10, top 20 possibilities as well.
Yeah, I like that. The only other 6K guy in there that I'll throw into the mix too, just to confuse people, is I'm not taking my eyes off of Luke Clanton as well. I know he's not as far as the main PGA Tour events. He hasn't been playing great. He did have a withdrawal as well a few weeks back, which might have led to some of his recent cuts. But he did great in the Puerto Rico Open last week. I think he was a top 10 finish. He's a Florida guy who he made the cut in his only appearance here so far last year. So he's a guy who, coming off of a good performance at, a secondary event at, in his home state and at a course that he's, fairly familiar with, at 6,900, and probably was his ownership under 3% projected ownership. I'll probably sprinkle some Luke Clanton, and people forget just how good this young guy is. And it's so easy for guys to fall off people's radar. But Luke Clanton, when he first hit the scene, I think people are forgetting just how hyped they were about him. I think he's set to kind of remind us of what he can do.
I like that.
All righty. Well, look, that's going to do it for us on this Tuesday night here on Divots and Pivots. Get on over to Fantasy Six Pack. Check out Keith for his 9 o'clock show. Remind me, everyone, of the name of it as well again. I need to start writing it down.
2 off the tee.
Thank you. See, I just knew I was going to mess it up, say it backwards or something, so I didn't want to do that. 2 off the tee over on Fantasy Six Pack. Get over there, check it out, because they will.
You mean like me always calling it pivots and divots?
It's all good. It happens. And once again, Ronaldo or Messi, we are not a soccer show. Can't help you there. Sorry to tell you that. But thank you for joining us, guys. We love you. And as always, stay classy.